I'll be there later for dinner, okay? I gotta go say mass. Bye. Oh, hello. Welcome back for episode 2 of A Look Inside Our Faith with me, Father Tom Quinn.
Salve Regina, Mater Misericordiae.
Before I say mass today, everyone, I thought that I'd take some time to explain to you the sacred vestments that the priest wears. In the last episode, our first episode, we talked about part of the daily liturgical prayer of the Church called the Liturgy of the Hours, or the Divine Office. And today we're going to talk about those things that the priest wears in that other part of the liturgical prayer, namely the one we're probably most familiar with, namely the Holy Mass. And so you'll know that for Mass the priest wears different colors, and he also wears different vesture. So the Church has 4 liturgical colors. We just finished with the season of Lent, right? You know, yesterday was Easter Sunday. By the way, happy Easter, everybody. But we just finished with the season of Lent, and you'll remember that the color you saw Sunday after Sunday, or day after day, if you go to daily Mass, was the color purple. We wear the color purple not only in the season of Lent, but we also wear it in Advent, and it's actually one of the colors that a priest can wear for funerals as well. Why? Well, purple, or sometimes it's called violet as well, is what's called a penitential color. So we wear this color in those seasons of the Church which we are in some act, some way, in penance. Right? We can think of Lent for sure, right? With the beginning, with Ash Wednesday. And although Advent isn't as penitential as Lent, it does have a quality of penance to it as we prepare for the birth of the Lord. And so we wear this color in those times when we are in some way emphasizing our acts of penance, of recognizing our own sinfulness, and of coming to the Lord for His mercy. The second color you see here is the color green. This is the color that you see most often throughout the liturgical year. So outside the seasons of Lent, or Advent, or the Triduum, the sacred Triduum, Holy Thursday, Good Friday, leading into Holy Saturday and Easter Sunday, the sacred Triduum is actually its own liturgical season. It's the shortest liturgical season we have. But outside of those special seasons, during what we call ordinary time, the priest wears the color green. In some way, I think that this color green is not meant to be for us something that we disregard, but the color green is meant to highlight for us, it's meant for us to remember, in some way, the action of the Holy Spirit. In some parts of the Church, the priest wears the color green for the season of Pentecost. The Holy Spirit comes down. That's Holy Spirit, which is the life of God, and so life. What is the suitable color for that? Well, it's the color green. Right? It's springtime now. We see the grass growing. The leaves are coming out on the trees. Everything seems to be greener, in contrast to the cold, gray winter that we were finishing up. And so, during the liturgical year, during ordinary time, when we see that color green, we should remember that we too are meant to be plugged into the Holy Spirit, to be fruitful, life-giving Christians in our everyday lives. The next color you see is the color red. Now, for us, we know the color red is very often associated with the Holy Spirit. And so, in our part of the Church, we wear the color red for the Feast of Pentecost. We also wear the color red for feasts of martyrs, right? Red, symbolizing the shedding of their blood. We wear red also for the Passion of the Lord too. So on Good Friday, the priest will wear the color red. Lastly, you'll see the color gold, which is also on the same level as the color white in the church. Gold and white are festal colors. They're colors of celebration. And so now here we are in the season of Easter, and so you might be seeing the colors gold and white. As I prepare for Mass today, I'm going to show you some of the other vesture that the priests wear underneath the vestments here. Now these vestments you see that we just saw and that you will see me put on today, those are called chasubles. But underneath the chasuble, the priest also wears other vesture as well. Sometimes you'll see priests wearing this square cloth-like garment, which is called an amice. Right? So the priest wears this, he puts it on. As he puts it on, he touches the top of his head. Now, you might be wondering, why does the priest touch the top of his head with the amice? Well, that will be the subject of our next episode, some of the history and the meaning behind the sacred vestments. But for today, I just want to show you what they look like and what they're called. And so this first garment is called an amice. So after he touches the top of his head, he wraps it around to cover the upper part of his daily clothing. He covers that, it hides it. So he puts that around, he tucks it into his collar, and then he ties it around his belly. Right? So he ties it here, makes a little bow, so it stays in place. Now the next vestment that the priest wears, this is what's called an alb. An alb comes from the Latin word meaning white. And so the priest puts on this white garment, which totally covers up his normal clothing. And you'll see that the amice too here has another practical purpose in that the opening here in the alb would be revealing, right, my daily clothing. And so the amice covers that up and fits properly. Now there are different styles of alb, and you'll see priests wearing different styles. But again, for today, I just want to give you the name of it, which is called an alb. The next thing the priest puts on to celebrate Mass is what's called a cincture. It's a rope-like object, and he ties that around his waist. Ties that around his waist and pulls it up, right up to around his belly button area. It's called a cincture that goes around his waist. It helps to keep the alb in place, but it also helps to keep our next piece of vesture in place, and this is called a stole. Now when the priest puts it on, he kisses it first. Most stoles will have a little cross around the back where it would fall in the back of the neck. He kisses that first, and then he puts it around his neck. It hangs straight down. Now, before I was a priest, when I was ordained a deacon first, for a year as I prepared for the priesthood, I wore a different kind of stole. Now a deacon's stole is one that doesn't hang down in the front, but it's one that goes from the left shoulder down right, diagonally. So this is the kind of stole a deacon wears. And so if you ever see someone at Mass wearing this kind of stole, you'll know right away that he is a deacon. So that's distinctive to their office. But for the priest, he wears, as I showed you, the stole that hangs down flat in front of him. Now, historically, at one time, the priest would cross his stole into what looks like an X. That would be symbolic of his office for the priesthood. And only bishops would wear the stole for Mass hanging flat down. But currently, both priests and bishops wear the stole hanging flat down like this in the front. Right, as I said, the cincture has that second practical purpose in that it helps to keep not only the alb in place, but it helps to keep the stole in place as well. So what you just saw me do was I took the part of the cincture which I didn't tie, and I wrapped it around the two ears, as it were, the two sides of the stole, and to help to keep it in place. Good. Do you remember the names of what I showed you already? First we have the amice, the alb, the cincture, and then the stole. Finally, the final piece of sacred vesture that you see the priest wear at Mass is called a chasuble. Now, the priest wears this, he puts it over his head, and it covers up everything else. This is called the chasuble. Now, as I said, gold and white are festival colors, and so during the season of Easter, you'll see the priest wearing either gold or white. You'll see a number of the vestments that we looked at today have what's called here, this is called an orphry, and this is often called a Y orphry. Can you guess why? Well, obviously, it looks like a Y. And you'll notice that there are different styles to vestments, different decorative styles. So the styles that I showed you today, for the most part, are what's called Gothic styles. These style of vestments originated for us from the Gothic period in the history of the church around the time of the Middle Ages. And so you'll see, whenever you see a stole, or whenever you see a chasuble that has a Y orphry, like these, you'll know that they're called Gothic style vestments. Good. So, before I celebrate Mass today, we've looked at a bit of an introductory lesson on the sacred vesture of the priest. On the next episode, I'm going to give you a little bit more historical depth to these vestments. How did they develop? What are the other practical purposes? What are some of the spiritual meanings of the vestments? And so we'll look at that the next time. But for now, I have to go out and celebrate Mass. And so, before I do that, I hope to see you there virtually on Sunday. God bless.
Salve